Does he not realize that if the Muslim Brotherhood, which is now creating a coalition with al-Baradei, get in power, that could mean another Iranian-style theocracy?
Al-Baradei is not a friend of the United States. Second of all, he could be a figurehead for the Muslim Brotherhood. Second thing is the Muslim Brotherhood, we ought to recognize, is an organization that wants Sharia law, is tied up with Hamas.
Well, my biggest concern, Senator, is the Islamic Brotherhood. Going into his speech tonight, Senator, he knew that the Muslim Brotherhood had publicly now called for war with Israel. The Muslim Brotherhood has now blamed the United States of America. Egyptian protesters, we know, have been saying, we hate Israel, we hate the United States of America. When the president spoke in Cairo, apparently the New Republic had reported at the time that he had invited members of the Muslim Brotherhood to go see his speech. You know, I was thinking about this today. When you look at Tunisia and Lebanon and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and Jordan. Well, you mentioned Hezbollah in Lebanon. We've got Hamas with the Palestinians and their election. You've got the Muslim Brotherhood with ties to both radical organizations. Now their influences in not only fomenting what we've been watching in Egypt, but similarly in Jordan. In an unexpected bit of diplomatic choreography, several members of the Muslim Brotherhood have been invited to attend Barack Obama's speech in Cairo tomorrow. Well, they certainly did not do that. The Brotherhood is an extremist organization that gave birth to some of the world's most dangerous terrorists. Given that the Muslim Brotherhood is now threatening to take over the reins of power in Egypt, is it possible that the administration's invitation bestowed legitimacy on this radical group? From their founding in 1928, and I was watching some other media tonight, they are not focused on the Muslim Brotherhood. How naive can they be when the Muslim Brotherhood has been and continues to believe in Sharia law and jihad as a means to achieve their ends?
You know, we did a book last year on this very subject of Sharia, the threat to America, and indeed the threat to freedom more generally. I think it's really required reading if you want to understand what the Muslim Brotherhood is and what Sharia is all about. Unless we're clear that the Muslim Brotherhood is the enemy, we are going to find not only Egypt succumbing to, I'm afraid, a very virulently hostile and dangerous program, but I'm afraid much of the rest of the region and perhaps freedom-loving nations elsewhere will be at risk as well.
People of Egypt, recent Pew poll, have a pretty low opinion of the United States in spite of our billions of dollars in aid, and he suggested tonight, the president, that include opposition leaders. The opposition here is the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, the extremists who were in his audience were the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood wants Sharia. It's very naive to think that if we just communicate with the Muslim Brotherhood, they're going to change all of a sudden and love us.
What is going on here, in part, is that the Obama administration's policies are being viewed through and actually articulated and now implemented through influence operations that the Muslim Brotherhood itself is running in our own country. We will not get this right if we don't understand the Muslim Brotherhood there and here is the enemy.
And I got to tell you, there are some conservatives that don't get it, and that is frightening too, and that's a story to be looked into. You know, when I keep referring back to the Muslim Brotherhood and their goal, they are radical Islamists. They are a danger to the Middle East, to Israel, our closest ally, and to us.
There is a devil that we do know, and it's called the Muslim Brotherhood.
That's what I mean.
Why do we accept in the establishment media that this is the people's revolution? This is the voice of the people.
I don't think people are saying that.
Wait a second. Is it not being orchestrated? Do we know that it's not being orchestrated?
Now it is.
Do we know that the Muslim Brotherhood is not playing a role?
Now we know for sure. Right. The president even suggested tonight that we've got to include opposition leaders. Who's the opposition but the Muslim Brotherhood?
Why don't we hear more about al-Baradei's connection to the Muslim Brotherhood?
No, but about al-Baradei and the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, a lot of these things can't happen. They don't develop as fast as the news cycle moves.
So the news media can't keep up with Fox News. I'm worried about the Muslim Brotherhood. It's amazing as I watch other news channels and commentators, Tucker, they don't seem to get it.
No. They don't.
Well, where do I start? I think that the Muslim Brotherhood is not the issue.
How could you say the Muslim Brotherhood? How could you say the Muslim Brotherhood, which is up to its eyeballs now in fomenting this and keeping this going, and that wants a seat at the table, and Obama says the opposition needs to be there, their commitment is to jihad and holy war, and it's an Islamic regime. You don't see the danger in that?
Yes, there's danger in that, but there's also danger in Keeping
what?
somebody in power who has lied to his people, who has oppressed his people for 30 years. He said in the 80s that he was going to be there for 2 terms. Now he's been there for 30 years. That is the issue. It's not the Muslim Brotherhood. It's these people who have been oppressed.
The Muslim Brotherhood gets in there, it will be a worldwide disaster that will last for decades. And when you couple it with Iran and what's happening in Georgia and Tunisia and Lebanon and every other part of the country.
I'm scared.
If you allowed, it's possible in a country like Egypt, also in a country like Saudi Arabia, also in a country like Pakistan, if you let the majority of the people decide the form of government, they would wind up with a wacko, anti-Western, anti-democratic, repressive government.
The Muslim Brotherhood already said, prepare for war with Israel. Everybody that is watching this program that thinks, all right, well, this is Egypt, this is the Middle East, we know there's instability, I don't know who the Muslim Brotherhood. Here's the problem. It's going to impact every person watching this program. Shouldn't the President of the United States, from a moral standpoint, take a stand against the Muslim Brotherhood and say they should not come to power?
Why are you so focused on the Muslim Brotherhood?
Because they're about to control Egypt.
I'm scared.